Welcome to Love It, Hate It.
I'm Todd.
And I'm Andrea.
And we're here to review movies that we've already seen and want an in-depth discussion about it.
So be warned, this is a spoiler discussion.
So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it and then come back and comment on what you think. Today we'll review Green Lantern. What did you think?
Well, arguably, Green Lantern was a pretty alright movie, but I personally am looking at it from a comic book standpoint.
And see, I'm not that familiar with the comics, so I'm just going at it like just watching the movie from other superhero films.
Right. I'm a huge comic book fan. DC next to Batman, he is my favorite DC character.
Green Lantern?
Yes, Green Lantern. Hal Jordan is my favorite DC character next to Batman. So I went into this with like a lot of expectations. You know, they hyped it up a lot. But for me, it kind of fell flat.
Yeah. Now, why was that? Because of the casting or just the visual effects?
Because of the character of Hal Jordan.
Okay, because I'm not familiar with the comic book story, so I don't know like how true to the comic it was. I'm just going it from a movie.
It actually was pretty accurate, okay? Like the story, the origin story that they gave was actually really accurate. But the Hal Jordan that they portrayed is not the one that I'm familiar with in the comic books. And I'm not talking about Ryan Reynolds, all right?
Okay.
I don't really have a huge problem with Ryan Reynolds. I have a problem with the lines they wrote for Hal Jordan. They portray him as this chauvinistic playboy, womanizer. You know,
rebellious.
First scene of the movie, he wakes up and there's this chick laying in his bed, and he's like, "Yeah, make yourself at home."
Well, kind of my problem with it is Ryan Reynolds is doing the Ryan Reynolds shtick. Usually when you cast a superhero, I mean, like casting Christian Bale as Batman, or say Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, because he is Tony Stark, and Christian Bale fits what I know of Bruce Wayne perfectly. So how does Ryan Reynolds kind of go as Hal Jordan? Is Ryan Reynolds, how is Hal Jordan in the comics?
He is depicted as this very upright guy, and he's, you know, he's honest, and he's forthright, and he's fearless and bold, and, you know,
not cocky,
not a
like
womanizer, you know, he's brave, and that's the main characteristic that they choose for Iron Man, are brave men who are fearless and things like that, and who have a lot of, like, very, like, a strong moral compass, you know? Ryan Reynolds doesn't really.
Isn't it? Kind of. It's not a horrible movie, like you said. It's not a horrible movie, and I have a couple. I have more than a couple. I have a few problems with the movie because, well, first off, there's so many comic book superhero movies lately. I mean, there's so many. I mean, you have Superman, Batman, Iron Man. They're making the Avengers movie, and so now they're casting Green Lantern, and kind of, you know, he has a different sort of ability because he's not someone dressed up, or he doesn't have traditional.
Right, he can do anything.
He can do anything he thinks of.
And he makes machine guns.
Yeah, machine guns, a brick wall. You know, he can do flat out anything. And probably when I was going into it and knowing Ryan Reynolds was playing Hal Jordan, I was kind of looking for a scene, because you expect it, where he's kind of playing with his powers. What can he do? You know, what can he come up with?
Yeah.
And there's not a scene. There is no scene. I mean, there's scenes where he learns the powers.
Like when he first goes to Oa.
Yeah. He's given the powers, and he learns it in like 5 minutes. And the training sequence, he goes to Oa, and the training sequence with Sinestro and all that, it's done well. But after that, there's not a scene where he's playing around with his powers, coming up with something.
He just jumps into it and starts making racetracks and
machine guns. And machine guns. And granted, like if I had superhero powers and someone was like coming at me with a knife, I'd go with it. I'd come with like circus clowns who are midgets with a machete going at people.
Great comparison. Great comparison of someone playing with their powers is Batman. You know, the first Batman movie.
Yeah, there's
that entire movie is him developing his abilities, right? So where is that in Green Lantern? Why don't we see that?
There's not that. Another problem kind of realized, once again with Hal Jordan, is the character. And I don't know, you can blame Ryan Reynolds for this, but it's also in the writing. The character is sort of, he goes from cocky and kind of rebellious, and he gets he's whiny. He gets his powers, he gets the powers, and he just whines and mopes the rest of the movie. And there's scenes like he even after Sinestro gives him a good talking to after the training sequence, he quits.
Yeah, you know? He says, I kind of quit. But then at the end, he turns into stone-clad superhero.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is what I was meant to do.
All of a sudden.
Where is that transition? Why don't we see that?
Where did he come from? Even at the end, skipping ahead a little bit to the end of the movie, when he gets, I guess, that kind of spirit, when he's like, all right, I can do this.
When he's fighting Parallax.
Yes, when he's fighting Parallax. Where did that come from? Where did that, all of a sudden I can do it. He goes from whining, just flat out whining, to all of a sudden full on superhero mode.
I know. Where is that transition? Why don't we see that? Why do we see a cocky pilot, risk-taking pilot, to whiny guy who doesn't want the power, to stone-clad superhero?
Kind of another problem I have is you don't sympathize with Hal Jordan.
No.
I found the only person in the movie that I actually sympathized with
was Hammond Hector.
Was Dr. Hector Hammond, the bad guy. The only scene, the movie kind of went on neutral for me. It was kind of flat. And there's one moment in the movie where things finally, I go, okay, I'm invested. I actually care. It's like, yes. And that's a scene where they strap Hector Hammond on the table. And his father, his senator, straps him to the table. And they're coming at him with a needle. And all of a sudden, the needle goes and hits the guy in the head. And he jumps up on the table. And he's like, God,
and you were like, yes, Hammond.
About time, yeah. And all of a sudden, that's when the movie finally kicked in for me. And finally went into like overdrive. But
well, it seems like, in my opinion, Hammond is the one character that they actually invested time in the movie, because you know, we look at his backstory, we look at how he's kind of downtrodden upon, and how his father treats him like crap. We see him get infected.
Totally treats him like crap.
We see him when he gets infected with the essence of parallax and everything, and we see that whole transition with him from what's happening to me to embracing it.
I really have to give bravo to the guy who played the guy, Peter Sarsgaard as Hector. Perfect casting.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, when you go to see a movie like this, it's not all about acting. It's about visual effects. And I don't have a complaint against visual effects. They obviously put a lot of effort and work into Oa. Yeah. My problem is you spend, what, 15 minutes in Oa?
At tops.
Tops. Where I want to see more. I want to sift through it. Let me experience it.
It really seems like they put the most time into Oa, but the rest of the film kind of falls flat. You know, like look at Parallax. He didn't look very good. I mean,
you know, they don't really know when to kind of focus on what, and it's really pacing. The pacing was all over the place, which is strange because the guy who directed this rebooted James Bond twice with GoldenEye and Casino Royale, and the pacing in those films were perfect. Then he gets here, and pacing was just sort of like all over the place.
Right, right.
You know, you spend time on Earth, and there are pointless scenes like Hal Jordan comes in to visit his nephew.
His nephew. Only to say the one line that his father said to him before his plane crashed.
Exactly. And they have to go through the cheesy backstory.
And then we never see the nephew again.
Oh, God. And it's all, you know, there's a lot of those cliche moments. Like, for example, the ending. Let's face it, the ending when he pushes Parallax into the sun.
Into the sun, everybody saw that coming.
Everybody. And you have the slow-mo shot where he's looking at him and he's doing this, I don't know. It's just...
I think I'm so upset because it could have been a brilliant film.
It could have.
It had moments of brilliance.
A brilliant film, but it's just through pacing. And ultimately, I'm not complaining at Ryan Reynolds here. I'm not saying it's all Ryan Reynolds. I'm saying he was miscast.
He was miscast.
I'm saying he was miscast.
He would have made a great Flash. I mean,
great Flash. But see, as much as we complained about the movie, I'm still, when the sequel comes out, let's face it, Sinestro
and the Yellow Lanterns, that will be one that I definitely want to see.
Definitely. So anyway, I would say that it's not a complete waste of a film, and if you're into Green Lantern, then definitely go for it and check it out.
At least for the nostalgia aspect.
For the nostalgia aspect. If you want an interesting, good superhero film, go check out Green Lantern. But let's face it, it's not a great movie, and it's not going to be the best movie of the summer.
So whether you love it or hate it, get online and let us know what you think. If you disagree with me, you're probably wrong, but get online and let me know why you think I'm wrong or right. If you disagree with Todd, you're still probably wrong.
You are.
But you can get online and you can let us know why you think we're right or wrong.